But I also have a block on like stylistically, right? It can't be like it has to have it be a bit edgy because that's my taste anyway. So I have a block instantly because it's
You don't like any songs that aren't edgy?
I do, I do, I do.
I just feel like you're trying to steer it so much when
Yes,
it's not a thing to be steered. It's like trying to steer your emotions or something. And once you
yeah,
start doing that, you're going to get sick, basically.
that's it.
So it's just like, yeah, letting go, like surrendering to what shows up, just the same way if you were attracted to somebody. I mean, yeah, you could fight it, but you're also like, yeah, but I'm interested. I mean, or like, that's where I'm pulled. I didn't
Mm,
make it happen, but it's just happening.
mm. And there's fear there, I think.
Like, I don't have to control writing a song. I can just write what comes out. I mean,
That's
in a
good.
way, you're not controlling, like when you're throwing lines out to make people laugh, you're just winging them out there and you don't know how well they'll go. It's just like an impulse, it's an instinct in the moment. And you're just sort of, I mean, that again is less risk because it's just passes, like whereas a song sort of is like meant in a way to be played over and over, to be heard again. So it's like
Mm,
there's more attention on each little thing because it's like
mm,
it's got to be good. I mean, even for me too, sometimes I have a line that I think is so good or an idea that's so good that everything I'm writing under it doesn't equal it. Like I'm not doing right by it basically. Like I have this great idea, but I'm like it's tanking because I'm not getting the like deserving music underneath it. But I know I can't really control that in the end. I mean, that would just block me. So it's like I have to just go with what comes up. I mean, even if somebody says, like, wow, you wrote that line, but it's that thing of like, did I? Because it really is just letting whatever comes, or like if we're doing a session and I give you a line that just comes, all that meant was that I trusted some random line that came into my head, but it doesn't mean that really I came up with it, just sort of that I didn't get in the way or I didn't judge. Because with facilitating, for sure, like if I can see that impulse to do it and I'm just like whatever, I'm just going to say this is coming if you want to use it, but it's no it's not really mine. So, or, it's like not like I'm trying hard to think of something for you, because usually that is way less helpful. I mean, even this, what I'm saying now is not, I'm not thinking of any line I'm telling you. I'm just, you ask something and then I just start talking, but I'm not like, how do I answer this right? Because I'm being filmed and, because if I do that, I'd be like, I'd never do anything. I mean, I have a song called Pinata. I mean, like I have so many silly fucking songs, but I completed a song. Like, doesn't that feel better in the end than never finishing one? Because, it's like, even if it's corny or if it's like, oh yeah, that line is like too easy or too obvious, or I'm embarrassed to show that to anyone. But each time you do that, you're getting better. It's like the only way through is to go through that period of letting yourself just fucking write things and finish things, even if they're bad. Maybe if the goal is just finishing one, you know.
mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe too, because you were saying like set a specific task. That could be the task, that you just complete a song. It doesn't matter if it's good and it doesn't matter if you ever show it to anyone or even if you like it. The only task is that you finish one.
Mm-hmm.
You find a hook of some sort, whether that's just in a thing that the piano's playing under it and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you decide that, okay, like there's these forms of intro, verse one, chorus, verse two, chorus, bridge, chorus out, like even if you have those, some sort of pattern, and then you just have to plug in and you have to finish one of those patterns, or there's another pattern where there's no bridge and there's just like I mean,
I
like a haiku,
yeah.
like a haiku is like, you're just trying to get that amount of syllables in each line. And it's not going to be like if you had to write three amazing lines, like you might not pick what you end up with because you're limited. You're kind of limited within these syllables. Like you want to make it the best you can, but or maybe also giving yourself a time limit, because then you'd be forced to think of something else. Like with skating, like if there's a move I can't get over and over, I add two moves on the outside of it, or like I mix it with something else. So I'm no longer hyper focused on the one. I'm just trying to do two together. And so it's almost like you get better at the one because you're forgetting, you're focusing on, your focus is in a different place. So with the time limit, if you're like, I have to write a full song within this 45 minutes, you're not going to fucking get lost on this one line. You know, you're just, because the goal is not that. The goal is to finish the song in 45 minutes. I mean, there are people who do like a 30-day challenge, a song a day. Obviously, they're not going to get caught up in how great day 4 is. You know, they're just going to, well, I have to finish a song. So this one's about piglets.
That was more of a day 1. I thought piglets. If we're still on piglets on day 4, I might be giving up. Just go around all the zoo animals and the farm animals.
No, it's going to be like,
And then
I
the
walked
baby
into
versions of all the
I walked
animals.
into the laundry room and looked into the cage. I saw these tiny piglets that I thought, where'd they come from? But my hamster had babies and they just look like piglets. And I bought this hamster not knowing she was pregnant. And now I have 4 babies. Where are they going to go?
That's a good line. Where they're going to go. Yeah. Took you
I've
45
heard
minutes?
sometimes they eat them. So I don't want that. Separate the mom and dad before we lose old Chad.
Separate the mum and dad. That's a good.
You have to do that with hamsters. Some of
Sorry,
them.
are we still talking about music right now? I'm really sorry, Michelle, but I'm paying you $100 a minute. Seem to be talking about.
But I mean, the thing is, like, don't you like also comedy songs? Sometimes they're songs that are just like funny and silly. You can write those too, and those don't have as much
So
weight.
I understand. I have snobbery problem. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Hi,
I
I'm
can't
Andrew, and
write
I'm a
about
snob.
hamsters who.
But I'm saying if you were forced to do 30 songs in 30 days, one, you have to just, you're at fucking 45 minutes. So you have 45 minutes. You're at 32 minutes and you're like, the best idea I have so far is piglets. I got to run with this. I got to just start now because that's what I have. And I have like a few ideas about it. So I got to just get this done.
Breathe. Paying $1,000 to write about piglets.
Those cute little tails. My mom always called me a piglet. She always called me names. See, you can just go anywhere. She
Actually,
was
quite
just her.
liberating. Quite liberating, yeah.
If the focus is, I have to write a full song within an hour, or if the focus is, you know, I have to write a song about this subject. I mean, I do sometimes when I'm asked to write something, I really enjoy that process because then there are limitations I'm set in and I just have to work within those. Like it's not wide open anymore. I just have an exercise I have to do. And then I come up with things I never normally would because I don't have that restriction normally.
You know what it is? You talk about focus. My focus goes on, I have to make a song. And the focus doesn't go on like the individual lines or the melody. The focus is on, I have to make a song. And that's quite a big, when I
So
should
maybe
be,
I just have to make a verse, or I have to make a one verse. What are you saying that the
yeah, that's,
focus should be? Smaller like that?
I'm just imagining like a verse, how I feel about a verse. Yeah, that's less overwhelming. Um,
Is a haiku overwhelming?
no, I like
So
haikus.
like what if you wrote five of them?
Okay. I think you're really onto something with the focus thing because I'm looking at my own mind and it keeps going away from the line. So I've got a line and then it's going straight into judgments, what to do with that, what to do with that. I don't even need to think about what to do with that, do I?
Mm-mm. It's too big a task, it sounds like. It's like
Yeah.
looking at, yeah, it's looking at, but this is just the tip of the iceberg and there's a whole fucking colony underwater.
Yeah. I think you're right. It is shiny nickels, isn't it? But very strong.
Mm-hmm. Pulling, pulling, pulling.
Yeah.
It's like you have to stay on the bull, you know, that bull ride where they fly
Yeah.
off. It's
Can't
like you
stay
have to
on that.
just stay on. I mean, that
It's,
for sure, like with skating, has been the hugest palpable um, help. It helps in every other thing, like that experience of over and over trying this brand new thing on wheels. I'm trying to stay on my feet on wheels and do this intense like weight distribution move and figure it out in my body. And it's like some of them just feel so scary, but it's always possible to go one step smaller. And like that's possible. So it's like finding the smallest thing that's possible. It's like, oh, that's not scary when I make it that simple. So if it's only like I have to write 100 lines, well, that's big then. But you know, if it's only like I have to write 5 good lines or I want to write 5 good lines, that's so much different than even writing a whole verse or even, yeah, like what I often come back to, like what's doable. If I'm getting a resistance on something bigger, what's a little bit smaller than that until, and I go do that until I find where there isn't resistance, like, oh, that's doable. It's just like cleaning for people or something. Like the person I live with is always like, thinks you have to have one just big cleaning day and then never cleans. And it's like, I don't want to do that. I want to like, I just use that pot to cook in. And I'm going to wash that one pot right now. So I don't have to think about it. Or I notice there's dust on this thing. I'm just going to clean that only. Because then it's not overwhelming. I'm just going to do one thing at a time. And eventually, probably things will all get cleaned.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, a thousand small things.
But don't think of 1,000. Just think of the one.
Yeah. And it also it's a bit like non-duality that as well, that it's like you have to be the ego. It's like absent or not
But
ego,
even
but it's
that,
just
like for
thoughts.
some people, that's so big. The idea that there's this ego that has to go away, that even that gets in the, you know,
Mm.
gets in the way. So it's like, oh, well, can you just take a breath in and out? Oh, okay, yeah, I can do that. Or,
It's judgment. That's all it is. I think it's just judgment because a child just creates
mm-hmm,
until it's heard so much judgment that it stops.
mm-hmm. I think too, like that is a big one for me, judgment. I mean, I think that's where a lot of my freeze comes from with other people and stuff. Because
Yeah,
my dad would come in like I wouldn't even have a chance to feel my way into a new thing without him coming in and giving me the efficient way to do it, you know? So it was like I didn't even have a chance to like sit and like, because they would just lose patience or they would just immediately come in with something. So it's like when I'm writing a song, I can take as much fucking time as I want. Nobody's there to say anything.
it's great. And so I've got a thought now. So yeah, it's saying I want to be really good. It's an exciting thought, yeah, but it's still a judgment, you see. But I've
It's just
seen,
like I want to really enjoy myself, you know, like for me now, I really think that I want to enjoy if it's something that I can't enjoy all the steps of it, it's probably not going to work out because like with skating, I like practicing. I like drilling. I like learning new things. I like practicing things over and over. Like so all that those aspects I like. It's not like I'm doing those things to get to something because I like the whole thing. It's like, even though there are times when I put stress on myself and I'm like, am I even getting anywhere? Or, it still is like, yeah, but I still am drawn to all the parts of it. I still do like doing the parts, even when they're difficult or whatever.
Michelle, your songwriting course here is also like music therapy because it's these blocks I have to songwriting are also my blocks to
Yeah.
life.
Well, I
Life.
think that's true always. I mean, that's why I like teaching. I don't really want to teach voice, even though I know voice can be connected. It's connected to the body and your guts and like all that. But to me, like songwriting is such a existential. I mean, it's how you express your experience here, and the same with what I have helped people like go through all their belongings and like simplify and stuff. And that's so emotional for people. It's the same kind of thing. It's just like this intimate process of how do I feel these extensions of me, and like, what does that mean? And, um, yeah.